every page and it doesn't tell you anything. Like, does it mean there are unknown problems somewhere? So right now in our new system, essentially default is no status. If there's no status, if you don't know if there's any problem, it's just, it looks like this, like there is nothing. And then if there is some problem, we left you 3 statuses to pick from: out of date, incomplete, and deprecated. And for those 3 statuses, we don't actually just display status. It also doesn't tell you much. Instead, depending on the status, we show you a custom message on top of the page, which gives you a little bit more information and also tells you how you can improve it and fix it if there's a problem. So that's an example for out-of-date status message. The other interesting question is per version split. So we had a lot of brainstorming around this topic. Everyone has different opinions. The plan we have right now is sort of twofold. First, to split documentation per major version, so like 7 versus 8. This will be done in the IA itself. So you can see in the breadcrumbs in every page, it starts with like Drupal 8 or Drupal 7 if you're on Drupal 7 page. So the idea is there will be a top-level guide for Drupal 8 documentation and then top-level guide for Drupal 7, and all of the guides will be inside of those. So when you create a page, you either put it here or you put it there, and you don't mix them, hopefully. We'll see. And then, so that's for major versions. And then for minor versions, the idea is that the split will happen in the page itself. So example you can see on the right, that's sort of a call out for specific nodes for 8.3 version because something changed or whatever. So again, we hope that the main body of documentation will always be about the latest or be applicable for latest version of Drupal. And then if there's something which you need to highlight or which used to work but isn't working now, then you can use this type of call out, which will clearly tell you for 8.3 or for 8. Whatever, here is information for you. And so all the minor versions will live on the same page, and we will see what happens when we get to 8.20. Maybe we'll change our mind, but not soon. So what about comments? This is a wireframe, it will look better, but the question of comments. So the way we decided to tackle it, it was we are moving them to discuss tabs. So first of all, they won't be at the bottom of the page, they will be at a separate page. And the idea is that that's the place where you would go to suggest changes to the page or discuss something about the page, sort of very similar to what other wiki-like projects have. And I know one of the ideas which was floating around for a while was like, let's have an issue for every single page of documentation where we will discuss the page, and then we will use entity reference to connect the two. And that's a lot of issues. And now we can have, because we have notifications and we can actually let people know that discussion is happening, we can have it right on the page, so we don't have this like separate place connected to the page. So comment to discuss tab, you will be able to suggest your improvement at top. You can change status if you want to say, oh, this page is actually out of date, and I don't really know how to fix it, but maybe someone knows. I'm just telling you that it is out of date and it's not applicable anymore, that sort of thing. So you can change the status right there. What we also do, we automatically generate a comment for every edit, sort of similar to issues. So you can see this is a wireframe of edit tab. So at the very bottom, you can see the same field status and explain your changes. As you edit the page, especially if it's not a typo, but like substantial edit, you can explain what you've done right there. And whatever you enter in that explain your changes field will go on discuss tab. So then discuss tab will always be the full history of the page, all suggestions, all whatever people changed, and we will even display if you change something like a field, a title, or status, we will display it right in your comment, again, sort of similar to issues. So again, you can go to discuss tab and see everything what was happening for this page. And this is a screenshot from development environment, so it will look better. It's sort of getting closer, but yeah, but it's working already, so that's nice. Okay, so additionally to all of the things I just talked about, a few things thinking to add, which might come a little bit later. So the things I just talked about is our sort of MVP, the word people hate. That's what we want to push out the first. And then with time, we want to add some other changes, such as following and email notifications for pages and guides. So for pages, actually, that's already there. You can follow the current pages, and you will be able to follow the individual pages for documentation. What we want to do is let people follow the guide, and so then you would receive notifications for new pages inside of the guide, for all the edits, for all the pages, for comments. Obviously, we'll make it so you can select what you want to receive if you don't want to receive all of the things. Real WYSIWYG editor is on the list, as well as syntax highlighting. So again, syntax highlighting is already there right now on the pages, but WYSIWYG is not yet. So we're working on CK editor, and it should come soon. Hopefully. Related content is another thing, so we're going to add a field where you can add whatever content is related to this page, so it can be another documentation page from a different guide, or maybe from a different version if it's relevant, or maybe it's a blog post or something else. Again, that's sort of next step. Official guides for projects. So we want to be able to connect a project to a guide, and you saw on some of the mockups before in the sidebar we actually had a list of projects. So the idea is the field will exist on the project page, and as a project maintainer you will be able to say, this guide is official for my project, so I connect it via entity reference, and then connection will be displayed both on documentation and on the project page itself. Yes, and obviously displaying guides on user profiles. So some of the things we are thinking about how to say thank you better. First one would be just, if you are a maintainer of the guide, same as right now, you can see all the projects person maintains. You'll be able to see all the guides person maintains. Hopefully that will encourage people to maintain guides.
It's funny because that was like initially was my #1 complaint. I was like, I want to be able to give credit to people that are maintaining sections of documentation. So, and then it spiraled out of control, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, we need like maintainers and organic groups, and then we need to move the comments, and it was like, really, we just wanted to be able to say like, thanks for editing things.
Now we build this whole thing just to say thanks. No, that's not true. We build it for other reasons. Yep, so those are a few things which are already done. They're small, but still nice. So the big elephant in the room for this whole thing is migration. So once we are done and all of those beautiful tools exist, we need to take all of the documentation and move it over here, which will be big. So the way we approaching it, at first we want to try and recruit maintainers for parts of the documentation. So if you have something you really like in documentation, come and tell us, like, I really want to maintain site building guide for something or whatever is that. So we want to have a list of people to start with, and then we're hoping they will help us to create the initial structure of guides and sub-guides. And then we are building a migration tool, which will be essentially, you click a button, I want to migrate this page into this new guide. It tells you, are you sure? You say yes, and then it migrates. So behind the scenes, it will switch the content type of a node. So we won't lose the history, we won't lose the existing comments or anything. It will change the content type, and it will put it into this new group, and it will remove it from book outline. And after a while, we probably won't have book pages at all, hopefully. And yeah, success in the end when that happens. Okay, now Joe will talk a bit about user guide. Hooray.
I think too that it's worth pointing out that a lot of the reasoning behind these changes is based on research that we've done, like Tatiana pointed out, but also just like a year plus of us spending a lot of time thinking about and talking to people. How would you like to edit documentation, and what could we do to help improve those things? And if you're curious about all of that history, there are sessions from the last 2 DrupalCons in which we kind of, you could probably start in LA and watch it progress all the way to here. And hopefully next time there'll be even more. Yeah.
I have a question. So on the last slide, are you guys going to have anything to do with like links, the ones like for menus? You have a page, you have the edit, and you have the different tabs at the top, and then on the right-hand side, you have, follow, and then you have other YouTube video that is actually demonstrating
Mhm.
what that page is saying? Is that going to be available, or at least can you upload or attach a video that explains or shows what that page is all about?
I can say words.
So right now we have that related content field I was talking about. Right now we're only planning it for content which exists on the site, not external content. So if you want something external, you can put it in the body of the page right now. Like you can link to a video. We are not planning to have any special tools to connect external content just yet. This might be a good idea. We might add it later if it makes sense. Okay? We'll
Plus one.